Maybe you will have piles of books. Maybe we should do that. Because many times we forget. God has helped us from January, February, March, the first quarter of the year. Different people had different challenges. For me, I wasn't feeling well. For you, it may be one problem or the other. For some, it may be a planned attack to assassinate, to kill. For some, it may be your business wasn't doing well. For someone here, it may be your ministry. You needed God to do something. For another person, it may be your spiritual life that was dry and empty. And you wanted God to water you like a garden and refresh your soul and revive you. For another person, it may be persecution, false accusation from unexpected quarters, from friends that are no friends, from what people call household enemies, who don't have business, who don't have job, except to cook up lies. And you were a victim, and you cried out to the Lord. For someone here, it may be an economic downturn. You needed money to get some things fixed. You needed money to pay your children's school fees, to pay the rent, to eat and stay alive. You needed money to pay your vows to the Lord, to be a blessing to someone, to take care of responsibilities. And God answered your prayers, provided you a job, and you did it, and you got some money. For somebody here, it may be that there's something that you need in your life that you didn't have, and because of that, people began to say strange things about you. And maybe your song was the song I sang. Odigo nyoso, neluwa, odigo. When you looked for people who should understand you and rise up and speak for you, and they did not. For somebody, it was a terrible accident and the Lord delivered you. He could have claimed your life, and you're still alive. For someone here, you asked God for open doors, and the Lord granted you open doors. For someone here, there was a project you wanted to execute, and you had no money. And all the people who promised to bring you money and promised heaven and earth disappointed. But God saw you through. You should have a book of testimonies. You should have a book of testimonies. Not just a book of prayer points. Sometimes there were many of them, of these testimonies in 1 week. sometimes we don't pay attention to them. And the devil uses our ingratitude to wait for us at the finish line. God has led Israel out of Egypt. Maybe somebody here, it may be school fees. You could have dropped out of school, or your children have dropped out of school, but somehow they are still in school, or they are still moving on, or you graduated. Or a particular lecturer was against you and said, I'm going to deal with you. You are going to repeat this year and next year, with all kinds of threats. But God delivered you. You get on. They were expecting you to come and fall on your knees and be crying and begging them for money. And they don't see you doing that. Second quarter came and passed. Third quarter came and passed. Now you are in the final quarter. And because you did not record God's goodness to you, neither did you take cognizance of his goodness in every area of your life, you now act and respond, about to enter into your rest. Just at the time you are about to have your breakthrough, God said to Moses, select great men, the leaders. Let them go and spy out the land. This is a military maneuver. It's a military way of preparing to invade a place. Spy the place, know the routes, know how to enter, know how to exit. Know the strongholds of the people, so you know how to attack them. God had told Moses, I have given you the land, but prepare to fight them. I deliberately left them there to train Israel, particularly those who have never seen war before. And they said, we cannot continue. Who told you we can continue? They began to speak like the serpent. Did God say? They began to question the integrity of God. To describe themselves as grasshoppers before the giants. And the people said, if that is the case, let's forget God and his leader, Moses. Let's conduct an election and elect another leader. Let's go back to Egypt. Now, do you know what that means? Rebellion against God. Vote of no confidence in God. See this, your God? We don't trust him anymore. We don't believe him. We can't risk our lives because of him, of what he said. Let's go back. And Caleb and Joshua said, no. They took stone to kill them. They don't want to hear anything else. Our minds are made up. Your God is rejected, and his word and his ways. We want to fix the things by ourselves. It bothered God. It really, really touched God that God left heaven and came down. The Bible said that while they were talking, the glory of the Lord came And the cloud covered the tent of meeting. Moses ran there to meet me. For how long? What else should I have done that I have not known other God? And there's nothing too difficult for me to do. I'll flog them and wipe them out of the surface of the earth. They don't deserve to live anymore. They've lost my love, my sympathy. They have lost everything I have for them. Enough is enough. Close to the finish line, Satan comes. He comes with false reports. And sometimes they come through great men that you believe in. Heads of denominations, heads of tribes, more in number, 10 against 2. So convincing that, speaking from experience, we cannot go. How can you beat that? And then you begin to say, they said. Because they said this, they said that. You now start taking a different decision. You start making a U-turn from your focus, from where you are going. And the devil becomes happy. Sometimes, and most times, he does not convincing voice. They said chiefs among them, heads of the tribes. It will be a suicide attempt. And all over the camp, the Bible said the people lifted up their voices and began to weep. In this our life, we never see any good thing. From beginning to finish, it is trouble. And whatever God said he will do, he cannot deliver. And Caleb tore his dress. Joshua tore his dress. Said, what kind of thing is going on? And the other 10 are breathing fire and brimstone and saying, we have to do something. We have to do something. This is the month of November. Next month is the last month of the year. Number one, you must be careful the company you keep. Those who speak to you and those you speak to. They may have big titles. But be careful. Number two, seek to be very close to the Lord. Know what God is saying concerning you and the end of this year. Wait on him to hear the Lord. And the crowd sang a song. He said, if we don't hear from you, what will we do? We don't know what to do. We can't do anything. We should wait. Let's hear him. Saul wanted to hear from the Lord. He didn't hear from the Lord, and the prophets delayed. He decided to go and make the sacrifice by himself. When the prophets arrived there, he said, you have finished yourself. Your impatience has finished you. You cannot take laws into your hands when you are expecting God to be the one to lead you. Wait. If you don't know how to wait upon the Lord, please Look for genuine Christians who serve the Lord in purity and in holiness and in righteousness, who are passionately in love with God, who still hear Him. Visit them, if possible. Convene a meeting to host them and let them worship God together with you. Even if you don't tell God anything, God will start talking. Because He knows why you called the meeting. Don't keep quiet. Don't wait. I'm sure I'm speaking to somebody. God will speak. Amara m na onye ji isi ụgbọ ọgụ ga-eduru gị n'udo, ebili mmiri n'ufufe na-aṅa ya ntị. I know that one. That the captain of your boat will lead you to the end successfully. God does not have abandoned projects. Draw near to God, seek His face, find out and confirm what God has said and spoken concerning you, because you'll be hearing all kinds of things. From big names, from what seems authenticated sources. And then you will die before your time. You will lose sleep. You start crying out. And you want to go back to where, of all places? Egypt. You want to take shortcuts to some places. You want to now take suggestions to go to the forbidding and the wrong places. And the devil will be jumping up and down and be happy with what is going on with you, and then be watching to know if you will lose the game. And most likely, because you said, Brother so-so and said so today, Reverend Dr. so-so, Bishop so-so and so, so-so and so, because of their titles. I want a glass of water. In the recent times, I've spoken to men because God has spoken to me. Now listen to me. There are two groups of people. The ordinary man and the God kind of man. Two groups. And most of us here belong to the ordinary man. The crowd belongs there. Thank you. Every time God wants to do things, and then He will call people out. He will separate the ordinary people from the God kind of man. Let me give you a few illustrations. Gideon wanted to go to war. God had recruited him as a man. He wanted many men to go with him. He invited 32,000 and they came. God said, this is a crowd. I need an army. God is not afraid of 32,000 soldiers. David had 700 and something thousand soldiers. 700 and something thousand. So 32,000 is small. But they were basically the ordinary man. And God began to eliminate until He found out 300 that He can relate to. So He said, with these 300, I will deliver you. Send 31,700 home. Who are they? They are church people. Zealous, ready to fight, but God can connect with them. Send them home. He picked Saul, and Saul became king. sat on the throne and began to attend the royal fathers' meetings and learned how they greet with the back of their hand and their walking stick. And God will give him instruction. He will obey it the way he wants. And God said to him, when you were small in your eyes, didn't I notice you and made you king? Now that you have lost that status, I have rejected you from being king. God looked at the whole country. He could find one man, the tallest yet but small in his eyes. He was a humble man. He lost it and he lost God. And then he sent Samuel to the house of Jesse. He said, I have seen somebody there too who has the kind of heart that I can connect with. The first son, Abinadab, showed up. And Prophet Samuel said, oh, surely, here comes the man God has chosen. God said, shh. I have rejected him. So what does that mean? God had already visited the family and conducted his test with number 1, number 2, number 3, up until number 7, and rejected them and only recognized the last one. Before he said to Samuel, I have found for myself. I've been looking. So when Samuel arrived there finally and said, surely this one, God said, no. I've been here before you. See these ones? I have rejected them. But 3 of them are the people in the army of Saul. They are the ones that the community will choose. The popular opinion are rejected by God. They're ordinary men. They don't have the God kind of heart. I want you to see what God does. So the fact that you have seen people, the house of Jesse was like the heart of the great man. The place you pick the warriors. But God rejected them because they are not